Hi everybody, David Nour. I want to welcome you to another Periscope. I'm delighted here. Jim Carr's here. Robert's here. Welcome. Glad you guys are here. I want to welcome you to another Periscope. In celebration of Portugal winning Euro 16, I'm wearing my Ronaldo shirt, even though he didn't play. And it wasn't the most exciting game. Hey, listen, it was a big accomplishment. So I'm a big soccer fan and watched the game this past week and before he joined Real Madrid. So this is an older shirt, but glad you're here. Glad you're able to join. Today's session, I'm again another really interesting topic to me, which is I'm coaching. I do a lot of executive coaching. Jim on this Periscope is one. Jim Carr, great guy, doing some really cool things. But I'm also coaching CEO of a global bank and managing partner of a law firm and CEO of a manufacturing company. So 28 folks, executives in the last year alone. And what I'm finding, and I wrote about it in the NourNet community off our website, which is just nourgroup.com under resources, asking if you need a coach. Jennifer Bridges from PDUs to Go is here. Hi, Jennifer. Everybody does really need a coach. So I wrote this morning of are you coachable? That's one of the questions I ask people as a way to qualify. This is somebody I want to work with. And what I'm asking is, are you willing to listen? Are you willing to be open to new ideas? I'm not teaching anybody how to use Microsoft Excel, right? So it's less of a skill. More of what I'm trying to do is change their behavior. And it's never a switch, it's a dial. So how do I get you to do less of certain things and more of other things, right? So this week is when feedback doesn't match your sense of self. So let me explain. We all have certain perceptions of what, who we are, what we do well, some of us are astute enough to figure out what we don't do well and hopefully outsource that. But particularly if you're an extrovert, like I am, I've never been accused of being shy or quiet over the years. It's very easy for us to give people feedback, right? John, here's what you may not be doing as well. Steve, here's something that you need to fix. Beth, here's something that you need to really work on. You have to work really hard. Thank you for coming. I'm going to block people that are inappropriate and log them out. You have to really be confident and be smart and be open to learning and growing to take feedback. And when we all get feedback, in my experience, there's three options when we get feedback. You ready? I can deny the information. I can change my self kind of concept, my self-impressions, or I can change my behavior. So let me give you some context. I'm often in a position, or I'm often asked to give people that I coach or clients feedback, right? Some of that feedback is not going to be pleasant. Some of that feedback is going to be like bad tasting medicine. I'm often amazed when people come and say, it hurts when I laugh. Well, don't laugh, right? So you often think it's common sense. What I've learned is common sense isn't necessarily common practice, right? So it's always difficult to hear somebody criticize you, or criticize your work, or criticize your efforts. Sometimes it can be really tough. Sometimes it can be really difficult to hear. What I coach people to do is be open to that advice. Be open to that, especially if it comes from people you respect, especially if it comes from people you trust, especially if it's people that have a sense of a vested interest in you. If you get that advice, if you get that feedback from those individuals, they hopefully want the best for you. They want growth for you. So I don't read a lot of HR related books, but there's two I want to mention that I've recently looked up and I've read some interesting things about. One is called The Complete New Manager by John Zenger, Zenger. And in it, he talks about how we all have a mental picture of ourselves, right? We all have this mindset of kind of who we are. So listen to this. In most cases, leaders with fatal flaws are totally unaware of that flaw. Leaders with fatal flaws are unaware of that flaw. For example, people who immediately reject others' ideas will probably describe themselves as having such extensive experience that they would know what idea will succeed and which one will fail. These individuals don't know that they're perceived as rejecting everybody else's ideas. So, do you know your fatal flaws? Do you look in? There's a reason, by the way, the airline safety videos tell us to put the oxygen mask on ourselves first before helping somebody else, because you got to start with a healthy self, especially if you want to build productive relationships. If you want to be a value and asset to others, you got to start with looking in the mirror. You have to understand, what is it that you do well. I'm not very patient, so I have to really work at it. So thank you. I have to really think about biting my tongue and not jump into conclusions right when I already know where somebody's headed, where I know what they're trying to say, because interrupting people becomes rude and it becomes disrespectful to what they're trying to communicate, right? So you have to start with some introspection. You have to start with what do you believe you do well, and where are what I call, or what a mentor is driven into me to call, your growing edges. Where are the opportunities for you to learn to grow? Feedback that leaders receive, whether it's team discussion, whether it's 360-degree appraisals, whether it's coaching sessions, should convey a message that sometimes is contrary to how they view themselves. So as I said when I opened up the session, there's 3 things you can do with feedback that you get. You can actually deny the information. You can discuss, you can dismiss the feedback. No, that's just not me. That's not who I am. From one source, maybe 2. But if over time you hear from multiple people, David, you're brilliant, but if you're abrasive, nobody's ever going to hear that brilliance. At some point, they all can be wrong. And they all can't, have a vendetta against you. So, do you solicit feedback? And this is the tip I want you to take away. Do you solicit feedback from people you respect, from people you trust? Do you ask them, here's what I'm thinking, what do you think? Do you work with coaches? Do you work with mentors inside your company or organization or industry or outside of it? With people who've done it, people who've been there, people who have done some interesting things that might be useful to you, that might be of particular value to you. So the 3 choices you have: you can deny the information. I don't recommend that. You can change your self-concept. So sometimes leaders admit to themselves that they do not know everything and that their own idea are not the only good ones. That's when you start to be open to growing. That's when you start to figure out that there may be more than one way to get something done, and it isn't necessarily about right or wrong, it's about a different approach. That's when you're open. It's almost, I call it kind of mental spring cleaning, right? You've always, the only way, and I used this analogy with somebody yesterday, the only way you've ever known to get from New York to LA is to drive, right? Get in your car, 5 days, drive. Then somebody says, hey, have you ever heard of an airplane? And you're like, wait, what? Yeah, you can get there in 4 or 5 hours. But you have to go through these security checks, and you have to buy an airline ticket, and you have to get on this airplane, and this seemingly impossible idea of this big metal box kind of goes up in the air, and it gets you there in 4 or 5 hours. It kind of blows your mind because what you've always known is the driving. But if you're open to, there are other ways to get things done, that's the first step in really learning, expanding, growing, maturing as a professional. Third option you have is change their behavior. Feedback is really most powerful when it's actually applied to altering behavior. I've worked with clients where, I don't know if you've seen this, but they keep kind of doing the same thing, and they actually expect different results. Managers who try to change people, they're grown people, right? So I told somebody yesterday, first 30 days, pretty indication of what you're going to get. Pretty strong indication of what you're going to get. The first 90 days is exactly what you're going to get. And trying to change them when they don't want to change is really difficult, if not an uphill battle. So there's another great book. It's a 2004 book, 100 Things You Need to Know, Best People Practices for Managers in HR. It's 3 authors. I believe it's called Eichinger. Lombardo, and Ulrich, and they identified the single best predictor of who will advance up the corporate ladder as learning agility. Can you learn? Can you grow? Are you open to constructive, forward-thinking, forward-moving feedback and input? They say we demonstrate that learning agility when we're able to reflect on our experiences and the discipline to change our behaviors. Reflect on our experiences and the discipline to change our behaviors. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for, are they reflecting on where they've been, past experiences, where they are, where they're trying to get to? And are they open to trying? You may not like all of my ideas, you may not agree with all of them from a coach or mentor standpoint, but are you disciplined enough to try some? Because sometimes they might surprise you and say, you know what, this part of it worked for me, this part didn't. I'm going to do more of this, again, the dial, and less of this other. Again, I love this quote, learning agility is the ability to reflect on experiences and then engage in new behaviors based on those reflections. Learning agility requires self-confidence to honestly examine oneself, self-awareness to seek feedback and suggestions, and self-discipline to engage in new behavior. Again, self-confidence in honestly examining yourself, self-awareness to seek feedback and suggestions, and self-discipline to engage in new behaviors. So, takeaways. Ask for feedback, but from the right people, from people you respect, from people you trust, from people that have a vested interest in you, your personal, your professional growth. Number two, you have to take that input and find opportunities to try it. If more than 2-3 people are telling you that you need to work on a particular part, you need to read more, you need to raise your vocabulary, you need to dress sharper, you need to take on more initiative, you need to become more committed, you need to raise the energy level in which you come to work with every day. Maybe they have a vested interest in your success. Maybe they want you to raise the bar on who you are and what you're doing. So, hope this has been a little more academic than I like, but hopefully it's been useful to you. Hopefully it's been valuable to you. My name is David Nour. If you're new to Periscope, or if you're watching recorded version, you can tap on your device, on your smartphone, to give it hearts, and I can better understand what you like and what you value. And you can also swipe and share this with others that you think this content might be valuable to. Thank you. I'm glad you came. I usually do this every Tuesday at 1 o'clock Eastern. So make it a great week, and I hope you come back. Thanks, everybody. Take care. All the best. Bye-bye.